Hello, my wonderful Finance Oracle fans. I trust you're doing well today. Yep, this is very important for me to know because for me, you're my greatest team player, so you're my valuable asset. So I have to find out every day how you're faring, and my prayer is that your day will get better by the day. Well, today I'm going to be sharing with you, about news about how you can move with your family to an European country and how you can do this with less stress and less expenses. And the beautiful thing I'm going to be sharing today is that HND graduates are also able to apply. There have been difficulties with people who have HND to do an application and get a master's degree, especially in European countries. So it's been a thing of concern for those who have HND. But the beautiful thing about this update is that with HND, you can apply and you can go and do your master's and you can progress to PhD or to wherever you would like to progress to. So this is a good news, and I will be sharing this information, how you can study in Portugal, even as a HND or as a BSc graduate, and do your master's degree. So I will be sharing tips and concerns that comes with studying in Portugal, the concerns and all that. So, well, before I go deep into this, I would like you to like my video, to comment on it, and to share my video. I want this video to go wide so that people will come and be part of this community, and of course, in return, support me as I continue to dish out these informations to you. Well, I'm not just going to talk about Portugal, but I also give tips how you can find a job in Portugal, which is actually one of the biggest concerns about studying Portugal. Well, let me talk about the advantages in Portugal, and I'm going to talk about the disadvantages in studying Portugal. So you can weigh the both of them, and then you make decision. But I will not go ahead without telling you that studying in UK, of course, is more advantageous than studying in Portugal. Okay, studying in a place like Germany or Netherlands is also a little more advantageous than studying in Portugal. But at the same time, studying in Portugal is of course better than studying in some places like in India, in Nigeria, and some other places. You will be able to make more fortune, if you study in Portugal. Remember, it's a first-class European country. Well, that is by the way, but let me just go back to the video itself and talk more about today's focus point. Well, number one perk or advantage about Portugal is that Portugal is affordable. Rents are cheap in Portugal, and food and beverages are cheap in Portugal. In fact, cheaper than most third world countries. It seems it wants to be cheaper in Portugal than in Nigeria currently now. Yes, it is. So you can afford what to eat, what to drink, and you can pay rent without spending so much in Portugal. Portugal is very peaceful. There's high level of security, high level of peace without worries and others. So that level of peace which you feel in Portugal is supreme and is an advantage. And number three is that if you have a resident permit in Portugal, you would almost be treated as a citizen. So you will have virtually everything a citizen has. Almost, not the same, but almost. You can go to your hospital, you can, and get treatment without paying a dime. You can do many other things which citizens as well do. So you can see if you're in Portugal, the level of the segregation within residents and citizens are not wide. So this is also an advantage, And if you don't have enough money to pay your school fees or you are not able to pay your school fees on time, no one is going to withdraw your visa or kick you out of Portugal like it happens in the UK sometimes, okay? You would be able to continue studying. But for some schools, they may lock your student portal, then you will not have access to certain things which you want to do, okay? So still paying on time is much better. But at least it's not going to affect your visa and get you kicked out immediately. And again, if you decide you want to pay instrumentally, you don't have a lot of money, even though the school fees is small, you want to pay in 4 installments, that is fine. It's part of the law, and no one is gonna, kick you out. So this is another advantage about Portugal. Okay, then let's look at the disadvantages. Okay, let me talk about something very important before I go to the disadvantage. Another advantage in Portugal is that if you have a child, if you have lived in Portugal for 1 year and you have a child, after 3 months of having that child will obtain a Portuguese passport and become a citizen automatically. Even if you're a student, it doesn't matter. So for those who maybe are still at the age of childbearing, who are still having children, if in Portugal you have a child, then your child becomes a citizen. So that is a big advantage. I mean, it doesn't happen in every other country. I mean, all the countries, okay? So it's an advantage for you if you are studying in Portugal or you want to migrate to Portugal. Let's look at the disadvantages. Well, number one is job. But then this depends on the city. There are some cities which you go to, those cities which are like the rural areas, the small cities, they have fewer jobs. And these fewer jobs are also competitive because a lot of people would be willing to apply to them. So it means that if you want to get a good job, then it is better for you to go to schools in bigger cities. But do not forget that schools in bigger cities are a bit more expensive than schools in smaller cities. But then they are not as expensive as schools in the UK, in Ireland, in other parts of the world. Okay, so which means it is still affordable. So you may consider to pay a little more higher to go to schools in bigger cities if you are going to Portugal than going to pay less to go to school in smaller cities and have difficulties finding a job. And this also depends on a number of other factors. But then the second disadvantage is low salaries. Most jobs in Portugal will not pay you as high as you may earn in the UK. Okay? So, but then don't forget also that, if even as the salary is low, it can still afford you, it will still help you to pay your rent, your accommodation, your feeding, and your tuition fee, and still have a little savings. So it's not that bad, right? It's not that bad. So you can give it a trial. I mean, if you don't have the money to move to the UK or to Canada or to US or to Australia, wherever you might have been planning, then you might consider Portugal as a plan B, and from there you can step up. Not necessarily study, but you can move after studies, or you may decide to stay back anyway. So again, this depends on your skills. If you have skills that are well sorted for, irrespective of the city or wherever, you will be well paid. So for example, if you're a nurse, if you're an engineer, if you're an argon welder, if you're a crane operator, you will be well paid. But if you are doing what everyone can do, then you might be affected and you might not get the salary which you desire. Okay, most university applications are actually open currently, and some will be open by February, and some are open almost all through the year. They have 4 or 5 badges. So if you want to apply, you can go to their website and you can start up the application. You can also send an email to the admission office for inquiries. If you want to send this email, ensure you're sending it to the admission office, because if you just send it out to anyone, they may not reply. So that is if you want to get additional information. Otherwise, the application links are there on the website and anyone can apply. In fact, I've just applied for an admission in a Portugal university for someone just less than 1 month, and we are hoping to get a response, a positive response. So you can see. So for bachelor's, if you want to do bachelor's degree, most schools in Portugal will teach in Portuguese language. A few have bachelor's degree in English. So if you are doing bachelor's degree, it is very important that you learn Portuguese language. It will help you to cope in this, because most of the schools will teach in Portuguese. Even if they are doing in English language, some of the courses will be taught in Portuguese language. So it is compulsory, I will say that word, compulsory, for you to study Portuguese so that you can cope up. If you are doing master's degree, it's not a problem. A lot of schools are offering master's degree in English, and a lot of courses are taught in English. If you would have one or two courses, taught in Portuguese, you can cope with Google Translate. That's what some persons do. So English language is not a problem. There's no English barrier. If you want to do a master's degree in Portuguese, you can study without any challenge. Yeah, and the good thing is that you can move with your family, because Portugal has an accompanied family visa, which once you're applying for your own visa, you can also apply for a family, and you can move with your family without much challenge. So if you're going for masters, you will need to get your transcript notarized. You also need to get your reference letter. You need to get your motivation letter with you, and your transcript, of course, has to be notarized, your degree certificate notarized. And these days, a number of other documents are being notarized. For example, marriage certificates and criminal records certificate are also going to be notarized. So you have to do all these things. So PhD is actually easy in Portugal. So if you want to do PhD and you don't have money, consider Portugal. You can pay as less as 1,500 euro. If you are a PhD student, because a lot of students are not doing PhD. A lot of Portuguese, and they are looking for students. So the lecturers are so happy if they get people to come to do PhD, and it's purely taught in English, because mostly it's international students all through. So you can consider Portugal for your PhD, and you can enjoy low tuition while you still have jobs to do. Yeah, one important thing I'm going to be talking about, like I promised I'm going to help you talk about how you can get a job, is you may have to consider, getting a skill ahead of migrating to Portugal, a quick skill. You may think of maybe something like, let me say, something you can do with your hands, perhaps repairing, fixing of vehicles, maybe welding job, forklift operations, maybe a language, language certification. You can go to teach English. Maybe you may think of soft skills like programming and all that, So wherever that works for you, then consider it and get it done, so that you will be able to find a job easily, or something to do and make money for yourself while in Portugal. So yeah, once you get your admission, you need to book appointments for legalization. Like I said earlier, you will need to go to Ministry of Foreign Affairs, depending on your country anyway. Like for example, in Nigeria, you need to go to Ministry of Foreign Affairs and get your document legalized. Then you need to go to Portuguese Embassy to get it legalized again. Then it has to be your transcript, your degree, certificate, your marriage certificate, your criminal record. All of them you have to legalize it. Then you do your proof of fund. As the last proof of fund was about 5.5 million naira for one person. But as you add your family members, people who accompany you, then you are going to add up the money. You can write a letter to your school, and they will advise you more. And also in the embassy website, you also get some more information. Okay, so it all depends on how many people you're going with in extra. Extra people that are joining you with it. But so you can see 5.5 million naira is little money compared to UK, where you have to go with 17, 28, 18 million. That kind of money. Canada, the same thing. Australia is more. So you can see that if you don't have much budget, then Portugal may be your next plan of action. So I would advise you to give it a consideration. Life in Portugal is not bad. Everything in Portugal goes on well. Maybe if you say comparatively, then you will see the difference. But fairly okay. And considering where you're coming from, Portugal is best. But a lot of Chinese people are coming to Portugal to study. A lot of Africans, Indians, and people from around the world. So you may give it a shot, and I bet you will not regret it. They've got everything to make you happy. So guys, this is where I'm going to stop this. I don't want to make this video so long. So if you enjoyed what I've said today, please do not forget to share. Do not forget to subscribe. and let your network be part of this network so that we form a formidable community where we can help each other and support each other. Don't forget to reach out to me in martinfinanceoracle@gmail.com. I'm going to drop this email on the comment section or in the description so that if you have the need to get more information from me, I am open to give you support as much as I can. Guys, I wish you congratulations. This is 2024 and I wish you a successful dream. Cheers.